Alright, welcome to part 3 of the flag project, and this is where we're going to cover how to finish up these stairs here. I have these stairs here, and we want to make them here in the scene here. So I'll show you how I went about this. So the first thing I did is add a cube. Click on the cube here, and then again it's in the center here, so I just have to move it out to about there. I'll hit F to frame in on it. Get the F key, you can frame in, and what I'm going to do essentially is scale this out and kind of make a single step here, so about the correct width. And the thing is that's really nice is because this is all centered and everything, it's pretty easy to do this. Yeah, pretty much that, and then just basically bring it in like so. And then basically then I could just duplicate and repeat all the way up. Now if I want to, I could add the bevels first. I may even want to delete the faces underneath. I think that's what I did on the other one, but I'll do it this way first, and I'll kind of show you how I went about it. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit Shift D, which is duplicate special, and then we'll drag up with the little guy here. And you got to make sure you don't want to release anything as you're duplicating this. So as long as you don't deselect this, it should work just fine. So basically what I do is move it forward kind of like that. And if it's not perfectly lined up, it's okay. We're going to use a deformer to kind of line everything up. And at that point, all I got to do is now hit Shift D and repeat that Shift D over and over and over again until I go up, at least past the marker there. Yeah, that looks like it should work. I'm going to do one more just in case. And then what I got to do is then select this whole thing, and by holding the Shift key I can just click on these, and you can see here where I basically made that one. So actually an easy way to do this is in the outliner is select the first one and then hold the Shift key and select the last one, so I have the whole group here selected. And then what I'm going to do is add what's known as a lattice deformer, which is under the animation menu set. So if you're working in the modeling menu set, just click in here and go to animation, and then go to deform, and it's the lattice right here. So again, deform and lattice. You don't have to choose the options. You can choose them and just see what's in here. But basically we could go to reset settings and basically just use all the standard settings here and just hit apply and then close out. And what you have with a lattice deformer is this boundary box, and it makes it really nice because you can conform everything to that bounding box. And so what you do is you right click with the mouse and you choose a lattice point, and again you right click, choose lattice point. So you can right click and go to object mode, and that brings back to the object, but you want to go into lattice point, and then all you gotta do is hit number 4 to go into wireframe mode. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna start moving from the top, these lattices, to the bottom minus the base. We'll leave the base one alone. So I'll hit number 5 again to go back to shaded solid, and I'll kind of move in. And what I'm looking for is once this starts to pierce the geometry good, as I move in here, I'll stop about there. It looks pretty good. Yeah, maybe just a little bit further in, and then I can hit number 4 again, and now I can control drag over that to deselect, and then again hit number 5 for shaded solid, and I can kind of move this in a little bit more. Again, I'm just kind of looking to make sure everything's kind of lined up. Push a little bit further, and again hit number 4 and then control and deselect those yellow dots there. They're like little verts. And then all I have are the 4 now. So I'm going to hit number 5 again, shaded solid. And again, kind of just move in a little bit further. Like so. About there. And then again, hit number 4, deselect that. And then go back to shaded solid. And the last one, just kind of pull in just a little bit more. Something like that looks pretty good. At that point, I can go to object mode by right click and select it, and then with this whole thing selected, I'm going to delete the history. So I'm going to go to edit, delete by type, history, And what that'll do is that'll remove that that deformer. So now I can get rid of the top two. It looks like I have two extra ones. I don't need this guy, and I don't need that guy. So this one here, what I'm going to do is extend this and just make it a flatter plane. So I'm going to right click on it and go to face mode. Again, that's the same as like click on the face in the component mode and just select on this face and just pull it forward so it lines up with flush with that. Pierces the geometry there. Then I can go back to object mode. So now I have all these lined up here, and I'm going to select this first one, go down to the bottom and select the very bottom one here. And instead of grouping them, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a whole mesh. So in the custom shelf here, I have it set up where it's right here. It's the combine objects, but again, if you go back to your modeling toolkit here, so it's under mesh and go down to combine. And now what that'll do is that'll make that one whole piece of geometry. At that point, I can start manipulating this geometry as one whole unit. So the first thing I'm going to do is solo it by clicking this little icon here. This will solo it. And now I just like to be a little bit conservative, so I'm going to go to face mode and delete these back faces I don't need. So you can see here, I just have to go down here and just select them because they're kind of hidden. They're hidden underneath the geometry. So it'll just save on memory by doing this. It doesn't take that long to go through and just select these little individual faces. Kind of skip ahead here. And one more at the bottom there. Okay, so with all those faces selected, I can just hit the backspace or delete key. And that just leaves it all open there. And then go back to object mode. And with these now selected, I can add a bevel. So I can add a nice bevel to them and keep it real tight. Maybe 0.2. Looks like 0.2 is a little bit too open. Maybe 0.1. That looks pretty good. And then add 2 segments. And yeah, that looks pretty good. If I click off, you can kind of see a little shine on there. So then I want to unsole everything, and there I have it. I have my step and this thing here, which is sort of like almost like an escalator, if you want to think of it that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this, and I'm going to delete the history, freeze transformation, center pivot for both of these. So history, freeze transformation, center pivot to clean them up, and those are under the edit menu is delete by type, history, and then modify. You go to freeze transformations and then modify center pivot. And I just have them set up as hotkeys, but what that'll allow you to do is clean out your transforms. So in the channel box here, and also deletes the history of how this thing was constructed. Just makes it really clean. So I'm going to shift select both of these and then hit Control G. That'll group it, and what that group will do, if we hit number 4 and hit W, you can see it there. It's in the center now. So now I can duplicate and rotate this on the y-axis. So I'll show you how to do that. You go to Edit, and you go down to Duplicate Special, and you go to the options here. So you want to click in here, the little square. And then you have to decide if you want this to be an instance or a copy. I'm going to choose instance. Instance will basically allow it to save on memory a little bit, and each instance can be modified. You just have to modify one, and they will all update, which is kind of nice. And we're going to rotate, so we're going to rotate around the y-axis here by 90 degrees, and we want 3 copies. So if this is zeroed out, just type in 90 in the y here, because that represents x, y, and z. Same with the scale, x, y, z, and the translate x, y, z. So leave x, y, z for translate to 0, and the rotate y is the only one we want 90 degrees. Scale, leave it 1, and just put in 3 copies, and then hit apply. And you'll see, voila, we have 3 of these guys are now wrapping around to complete the entire form. Now, you can close this out. The top here is pretty simple. I'm just going to kind of share what it is. Essentially, hit the F key on it, frame in. Essentially, you have a cube that's been extruded and scaled in. Pretty basic. And then other cubes that are kind of done the same way. And some other cubes here. The only difference is here I have an attachment where I've basically bridged across to create the opening. And I'll kind of demonstrate how to do that with just 2 cubes here. So in case you're curious how to do that, but if you just add a cube, let's bring it up so we can see it, and I'll frame it on it. And what I'm going to do is kind of scale it up so it's a little bit bigger. So I'll kind of make something that it's not exactly the same kind of shape, but say something like that. And I'll move it over and then down like that. It's about there. And then I'm going to duplicate it just by hitting Control D. So I made a copy, move it over here. And so it's the exact same size, and basically I just want to bridge an element from one side to the other. So what you have to do is we need to combine these two objects together. So if I hold the Shift key, I can select both of these, and then I have it as a hotkey in here, but again, that's under Mesh, go to Combine. Then you can add an Insert Edge Loop tool, and so I'm going to go to my little toolkit here, click on Insert Edge Loop tool, and I'm just going to click here, and whoop, so I didn't want 10 divisions, so I have to double click on it and bring it back to relative distance and close out. And I'm just going to drag one division here, and then for the other one I'm going to snap to ortho view just so it's easy to line up. Kind of zoom in here, and then basically just try and approximate where that line would be going straight across there, and then just make sure I click on the arrow tool to escape out. Then all I gotta do is select a face here, again click on the component mode, rotate around, hold the Shift key, select face here, and then I'll use the bridge tool. So the bridge tool is really nice. It's under the edit mesh menu, and here it is, it's the bridge tool. So if we just click on it, it'll create a bridge, and then you can add divisions if you need to, but I think one, basically 0 divisions is fine because it's very clean geometry there. And so basically that's it. Now it's one whole unit, very nice and solid. And so I would just duplicate this object, and that's what I did. I duplicated it on the other side, and now we have an opening. So that pretty much covers the whole modeling process for the pyramid. Figured out how to create the base in the last tutorial, and the sort of railing, and then today we figure out how to create the steps and use the bridge tool in Maya. So in the next tutorial I'll cover adding materials and textures a little bit, and then we'll also cover how to add the land in the next tutorial after that, and then finally the flag. So a few more tutorials. Until next time, see you soon in Autodesk Maya. Cheers!